Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Fantasy Chancer, the fantasy football show we bring you each and every week on the Upper Tier podcast. Congratulations to the boys here in the Upper Tier doing all the hard work. They have reached over 500 subscribers, so we need you just to keep going, keep subscribing, keep liking. Let's start getting these boys paid for all the hard work that they're putting in. So, like this video, subscribe, check out the content, live shows every Monday and Thursday, a new shorts feature on the channel now at the moment where you'll see shorts on a daily basis coming from the boys with all the breaking news and stories from the world of football. And the world of football, as we know, is a continuous circle. The football calendar never dies. We're cutting off now in a couple of weeks in Premier League. We're going straight into World Cup. Straight after the World Cup, we come back St. Stephen's Day and straight back into Premier League football. So there's going to be content flowing all the time here on the Upper Tier podcast. So big ups to the boys, doing a great job and excited to see what the future holds for the channel. Now we're going to go back into fantasy football. That's why we're here today. So, just going to go through my team then from last week. So, let me see here. There we go. That's better so we can see everything. So, in goals, I went with Dean Henderson, had an absolutely fantastic game against Liverpool, absolutely hands down man of the match. Full total 11 points there with 3 bonus points. He was absolutely fantastic. And if it wasn't for him, there's absolutely no way Nottingham Forest would have won that game. So in beside him, I drew an absolute shit week in defence. Virgil van Dijk, obviously with Forest getting the goal, finished on 2. William Saliba with Southampton getting that goal against Arsenal. Obviously, he was low then as well. And Nathan Collins, they conceded 4 last week, Wolves. So a big improvement needed from them. In the middle of the park, doesn't look so good either. Mo Salah drew a blank. Saka drew a blank, got booked. Pascal Gross drew a blank, got booked also. But that man there that I tipped at the start of the season, Andres Pereira, is starting to really come up with the goods now for Fulham. I always thought he was a quality player that never really got a proper and fair chance, in my opinion, at Manchester United. So Andres Pereira, at evaluation, he was 4.5. So we'll just have a look at him now. He's gone up slightly to 4.6, but absolutely amazing value there in the middle of the park for Pereira. And then obviously up top, Harry Kane scored again. Gabriel Jesus drew a blank, and Erling Haaland, captain, which is kind of standard practice at this point for a 26-point return, a double 13 there. So on the bench then, I missed out on Reed with the 6 and Nico Williams also with 6. So, if it wasn't for Erling Haaland last week and Dean Henderson, I would have had an absolutely shocking week, but a total of 65. I'm happy enough with that. And as you can see at the top there, I did make 2 transfers, which cost me 4 points. So in reality, I guess you could say it was 61. But at the same time, I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to go into the league tables now, and we're going to see how everyone is standing at the moment. So up here to leagues. Very competitive league this year and very tight. I went up a couple of places now. I'm went from 26 to 25, so not a couple, just one. But Graham Ward is taking the top at the moment, 771 points, followed 19 points behind Miss Molina. And then the head of the table, he's fallen a bit, Niall, down to 8 there at the moment. I think with that week where he got rid of some of those City and Arsenal players is coming back to haunt him. But I went with the free hit that week. It didn't work out for me either, but at least it reset then and I got my players back. So you can see there, it's pretty tight though at the top. See from 1 to 8 there, Niall is on 728 and the top 771. So it's still very much open. We scroll down then, and I am in 25th out of 42. So I'm happy enough with that. Ideally, I'd like to get into that top 20 soon and, make more of a go of it. So what are we going to do this week? That is the question. Who is going to be captain, huh? So in goals, I'm going with Sanchez. Now, Brighton do have a difficult game this week at home to Chelsea. There's no doubt about it. Very interesting fixture with Graham Potter coming back into the fold so soon after leaving Brighton. So that's going to be an interesting game. I think Sanchez would be a busy boy, and I honestly expect Chelsea to win that game. But I'm just hoping for a few points for maybe saves for Sanchez as well. So Brighton yet to find their real flow after Graham Potter left. So interesting times ahead for them. They're going to have to start putting a few victories together now just to maintain their status in the league, and that's first and foremost, really. In defence, Virgil van Dijk, Leeds are playing very, very poorly at the moment, but they have this thing where they can raise their game, and they've done it at Anfield before, and I think it was 2 years ago on the opening day of the season, they gave Liverpool a right game. If I remember correctly, it could have been 4-2, 4-3 that night. But Leeds seem to always bring their A game when the competition rises, and that's one thing, in fairness to Jesse Marsch, that he's carried over from Marco Bielsa. They were the very same whenever they'd play, except for a couple of times at Old Trafford they got absolutely pounded. But usually Leeds will put up a good game, but it's very hard to know what's going to happen under this manager, and the writing could be on the wall for him, maybe. And I don't think this game is going to determine Jesse Marsch's future, but certainly it's going to be something that's going to be looked at. In beside Verge, I went for William Saliba, Nottingham Forest at home. Nottingham Forest coming off the back of a fantastic victory over Liverpool last week at home, but it's different away in the Premier League, and it's kind of like Newcastle, with the exception of their good result at Spurs last week. Newcastle very strong at home. Forest are after finding out to be kind of strong at home as well. So away from home, I wouldn't be so sure. I would expect an Arsenal victory here, but I would expect a very, very tight game. It could be a 1-0, a 2-1 or something like that, and I could lose the clean sheet. Besides Saliba, then Nathan Collins, obviously they have to make up for last week Wolves. That wasn't really acceptable, that 4-0 defeat. And with a game away against Brentford, it's going to be also very tricky for them. I think the problem that Wolves have is they just don't have enough goals in them. And normally you'd say they're tight at the back, but with conceding 4 last week, I think they could be in trouble. Now, beside him, Botman, I've got him in. He's been a key figure for Newcastle at a valuation there, as you can see, of only 4.4 million, which is a bit of a bargain. So for someone that's going to be playing centre back, and he's not as expensive as Kieran Trippier, because I've went kind of expensive with Virgil van Dijk at the moment. So my defense is kind of cheap, but it has to be just to facilitate Virgil van Dijk and the top heavy players up the front. So what I've went for then in the midfield is Mo Salah, Leeds at home. I would expect Mo Salah to be doing some work here against a vulnerable Leeds defence. Darren's favourite player, Cooper, he could be in a bit of bother this week. In beside him, then Pereira, playing very well at the moment. As I mentioned, the opening of the show, pops up with goals and assists. Very, very, very good player, and I think one to definitely keep an eye on in terms of points, because if he keeps doing it, his valuation is going to skyrocket. So I think now is a good time to get Pereira in, and Fulham, in fairness to them, playing some lovely stuff at the moment as well. Now, in beside Pereira, I've went for Bukayo Saka. A couple of reasons. He has been on good enough form. It hasn't been great form, but he also takes the penalties now, and I think that's something that kind of pops into my mind when I'm picking a player. So I'm going to go with him as well. And then up front, Harry Kane, Bournemouth away. I expect that to be a very, very difficult game for Spurs again. Bournemouth not going to make it easy, but Tottenham should have enough, you would think, to get over the line. But yet again, Bournemouth, a team that's going to be relying on home form predominantly to stay in the league. I think it's going to be a very tricky one for Tottenham, but one that they'll no doubt relish, or will they? In beside him then, a man, and let's call a spade a spade. He's not doing it at the moment. No goals, no assists really in the last few games. Very poor. People talk about work rate in your strikers. Yeah, that's fine, but strikers are there to score goals. And, Jesus reminds me of when Alexis Sanchez used to play for Arsenal, but Alexis Sanchez had more end product than Jesus did at the moment. So, look, people giving out about Darwin Núñez, his stats are very, very similar to Jesus, and Jesus seems to be getting a lot of plaudits, but undeserved at the moment, I'm afraid. Your striker needs to score goals, and he could be in danger. I'm thinking about taking him out and maybe putting Mitrovic in, because Mitrovic is clinical. So I'll wait for this game week round and see how we go. In beside him then, injury doubt, but do you believe is an injury doubt? Is it too much to risk him and take the captaincy away from him? In my opinion, it probably is. You have to remember that Man City ain't where they want to be in the league right now. They're second. They want to be top. And they want to get a bit of momentum and get a few points away from the teams close to them. So I'd expect Man City will go out with a full lineup against Leicester, and I would expect Erling Haaland to play unless he does have a legitimately bad injury. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. That's going to be interesting to see what people do with the captaincy this week, because obviously with Erling Haaland, we can go in here now. We can see he's selected by 83% of players, and it says he's got a 75% chance of playing. So I like those odds. 75%. It's not completely ruled out. So I think you'd be crazy if you have him in your team to not put him as your captain. Sure, if he doesn't play, then you goes to your vice. My vice captain is Mo Salah. So that's my opinion on that. On the bench, then I've got Henderson. He's been excellent. I expect him to make a lot of saves against Arsenal as well. It was a toss-up between him and Sanchez, so that's what it is at the moment. And then Reed, Nico Williams, and Pascal Gross with a difficult game there at home to Chelsea at the moment. So I'm going to leave him out of the team this week, and that is what I am going for. So, guys, one more time, please like, subscribe, share, whatever you can do to help this channel keep going with its good momentum. Don't forget, every Monday, every Thursday, live shows. Keep an eye out for the shorts. Keep an eye out for the Fantasy Chancellor. Keep an eye out for specialist shows. Everything's going to be covered from here on in till the end of the season and beyond. So thank you very much, and goodbye.